Hey, what's going on, guys? So I just wanted to take a moment out of the remaining portion of the day and kind of explain what happened to us when we picked up that elderly guy. So, as you saw in the video, in the first video, that's also on my channel here. In the first video, um, my wife, we were driving. We actually passed this guy, and just like most people that we would typically just pass, um, we would not pick up. But after we drove a while, I mean, this guy was like super elderly, and I think he had his oxygen tank. He had some, well, actually, not an oxygen tank. Sorry, it was like a golden something, and it was wrapped in some like golden like silk cloth in his what appeared to be like a laptop bag. And so we drove past them to, and we weren't going to pick him up. Then my wife, she says, um, if that's my father, or look, if that was my father, I couldn't let him just walk in the heat like that. The heat that we have here in this portion of where we're at, the heat here is like there's no humidity. It's like a super hot, dry heat. If you're out in the sun for at least 5-10 minutes at a time, you will get a sunburn, even at 75 degrees. When we picked him up, it was 72. In about the 10-15 minute ride, it made it to 85. And being elderly, one thing I did notice when I shook his hand, when I got out of the car and I shook his hand, at the first introduction, I noticed that his hands were swollen, which would indicate an edema or an issue with his heart. Typically, lower extremities start to swell due to heart conditions, and he was walking on the side of the road. And he was just about to go up a pass. If you're not familiar what a pass is, it's like a very large mountain type that allows cars to go over. Very similar to like the Grapevine or the Tejon Pass. This was a larger pass area, not as big as the Tejon Pass or the Grapevine, but it was still a pass nonetheless. It's probably going up to around the 500-800 foot mark, mountain type. It's just a very steep hill. So for him to walk that in the heat, with no sunshade going up or down, or even 10 miles down from that, we drove him. I think the whole entire ride was a 20-minute ride, from where we picked him up to where we had dropped him off at. In this video, a couple things that were quite different was that the when we picked him up, when we actually decided to turn around, drive and pick him up, and then we drove him to and we went to go pick him up, it was actually, and we dropped him off, it was exactly 7 miles. I wasn't driving very fast. I was actually in the slow lane, but it was exactly 7 miles from where we picked him up at to the casino that's nearby where we live. And then as we were driving, I exited to get to the casino exit, and as soon as I exited, there was another man that ran out of gas holding a sign asking for gas. I pulled out exactly $7. The name of the casino is Seven Feathers, and it was just a coincidence, but it was weird at the same time. It was 7 miles. I gave another guy $7 for gas who was asking for money, And then the place that we dropped them off at was called Seven Feathers Casino. Now, this may be a coincidence, but 7 times 3 is the name of my Lord. And that's his number, that's his sign. And that's what I believe. So with that being said, whether you think it's a coincidence or not, I definitely do believe. And then when my wife asked this elderly man, his name was John, by the way. He wouldn't give us a last name, but we asked him, where do you live? He says, I live on the road. So he's homeless. Then my wife asked him, are you an angel? And he says, maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. And he was a believer of God. First thing he did when he saw my shirt, if I can show it to you, it's a picture of Jesus here holding the cross here, or the flag. And so as soon as he turned around, you notice he didn't look towards the traffic, he looked towards the mountain area. And he looked at me, and he looked at my shirt, and he looked up back at me, and he says, my Lord. And then he smiled. And he was so calm the whole time. He wasn't sweating. He wasn't having a hard time. If that was me, I'd be sweating buckets. I'd be looking rough. But he did not shed a sweat drop. He didn't look rough at all. He didn't look like he was out of breath. He wasn't tired. When we got him in the car and we were talking with him, he seemed very, very calm. So moving along here in the storyline, when we were talking with him, and I was asking him specific questions to see how he was doing mentally, because it wouldn't be normal for a human to go out in this type of heat. This type of heat is different than a California heat where you get a heat with an ocean breeze. This is more like a dry desert heat that would be in a valley. And so when we got him in the car, we were talking with him, and then so we asked him questions, and he would say that he's going to one direction that's the opposite direction of where he was walking, and he said he was going in to Salem, and he was walking in the direction of a place called Grants Pass. And so with that being said, we were like, well, you're going in the wrong direction. He says, I'm going over to Grants Pass. He didn't really know where he was going. And then when he said that he had his brother, he quickly changed it to his sister. The way we found out about his sister is the whole time he was talking about his brother. And he said his brother was going to pick him up. And then when we were at the casino, we had told him, you need to call somebody to let them know where you're at. So the first person he called to come pick him up wasn't his brother. He called his sister. So all of this kind of led me to believe that there might be a slight confusion in this man, in the way he was doing, whether he was an angel or not. Physically, mentally, I know how to look for dementia attack patients, and I could see a slight portion of confusion and maybe a slight portion of dementia. It's not very uncommon for dementia patients to get out of their house start wandering around and then getting picked up by strangers saying that they're going in a different direction, that maybe in their mind or something. It happens a lot. So instead of filing a lost persons report, I dropped them off at the casino. I came home and had the idea that, hey, maybe I should call the police. So I called the police and described to them about the situation. They said about an hour ago, before I called, they had a call from somebody about an elderly man walking with a computer suitcase, matched the same exact description, and it was him, about an hour ago. And they sent out the state troopers, and the state troopers could not find him. They could not locate him. So I'm not really quite sure if, again, this was a sign from God saying, this is the guy you got to pick up at the right timing. Was it my appointment to meet with this guy? I don't know. Was it my appointment for the test? I don't know. All I know is we did what we felt we needed to do, and hopefully we passed the test. With that being said, the state troopers came on out to try to work with them, try to talk to them, but they couldn't find them. And that's what the dispatch said. So with that being said, whatever you take out of this video, I hope that you can apply some of it in your life the next time you see somebody that's in need. Maybe you'll reach out that hand to help them, and think of somebody that would be close to you that you couldn't see doing a hardship like that, or going through that hardship, and reaching out your hand to help those people. That's what I believe we're all here for. Regardless of our financial circumstances, you may be making a six-figure job, but guess what? You can lose that six-figure job, that six-figure income real fast, and then you're right in that same position, going through that hard financial struggle, and those that you help will help you in the end, if that's ever the case. But again, don't ever do something out of the thought and idea of actually trying to gain something for something you're giving. Do something from the gratitude of your heart, because you want to, because that is the type of person that you are, and that is the type of person that defines you and defines who you are and your beliefs. Don't just do it for the benefit of what you can get from them in the future or later on down the road. Do it for the purpose of solely defining who you are deep inside. Hope this video was helpful for you. God bless. God bless you all. And again, thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and more videos like this to come. Plus, we're also working on the harvesting the honey from the bees, and working on the pumpkin patch. And right now I'm currently watering 100 grapevines as we speak, and they're all doing really good. So talk to you guys soon, and thanks for subscribing and watching our videos.